funniest thing. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning, in the a.m. Robbie calls me, deep panic. He's sweating. I can tell through the phone, and says, you had a dream that BYU basketball won March Madness. Why you called me, I don't know, but I'm glad you shared this with me. And you also told me you'll be getting a BYU tattoo, which might be antithetical, by the way. If they win March Madness, I know you're a big tattoo guy. Robbie, I know that you are pretty high on BYU basketball, which you should be the only thing you're high on, by the way. Again, kind of antithetical.
Right. That very good point. And that 2 a.m. call, I was just feeling lonely. I put on Marvin's Room. I called you, and I was like, you know what? I really need to get off my chest. It's how good BYU is at basketball. And this is not a team that I've necessarily cared a whole lot about. I'm a college basketball fan, but I'm also a Big 12 fan. And for years before, I didn't necessarily care about BYU basketball unless like Jimmy Fredette was on the basketball team. So this year, getting a chance to like sit down and watch this brand of basketball, it is something that is unlike I've seen in the Big 12 so far, and like something that is the epitome of the future of basketball and what we've seen in the NBA. And that is shooting a whole lot of 3-pointers. If you want to guess where in the country, if you were to guess where BYU is ranked in terms of 3-point attempts per game, Drake Toll, where do you think they will rank out of every college basketball team?
BYU would rank, I would say, 33rd.
They are number 2 in the whole country in 3-point attempts with 32.3 attempts per game. It's pretty remarkable. And they're also hitting it at a 35% clip. That is also really, really good. If you were taking that volume of shots like they are making right now, the third most 3-pointers per game with 11.3 a game. And that's really good. And this team is incredible at distributing the basketball. Ali Khalifa has been my favorite player that I've seen this year, and I've waxed poetic about him because he's just this Jokic-looking guy who just like stands. He doesn't necessarily move a whole lot on defense, but if like you are caught napping for a second, he'll toss the perfect backdoor cut. This team has shooters. This team has ball distributors. They have big men. They know how to rebound. I really like BYU a whole lot, and I think this is a team that can compete and go far in the tournament, but also this is a team that could lose in the first round of the tournament because they are so reliant on shooting. Shooting. Go ahead.
I think Noah Waterman, but specifically Marriott Center Noah Waterman, is my dad. I think he's my favorite dad. You're a close second. There's part of that. Part of that is they shoot the ball a lot, but their defense has gotten so much better. Shot quality rates their defense in the top 25 of the country, which is like, where did this come from? They seem to have adjusted to play more defense. Like Mark Pope's midseason adjustments have been insane. My thing with this though, does this diminish what the Big 12 is? The fact that this team from the WCC, who was the middle of the pack in the WCC, 5th in the league last year, walks into the Big 12 and doesn't just compete in year one, but will be a 4 seed in March Madness. Does that say something? Does that mar the Big 12? Like, how do you digest this?
That's a really good point. I don't know if I've necessarily thought about it because this definitely makes an Oklahoma State, a West Virginia, even like Oklahoma, even though they're leaving, like the programs that have been there for a while. And if you see BYU, who we thought they were going to enter the Big 12, is like one of the worst basketball teams because they haven't proven that on net. So like, I definitely agree with that, but I also think it's very good for the Big 12 to have a team like this emerge and come to this level, just because I think the more better programs you have, the better. And I do think it's like amazing that we've seen Mark Pope, like he hasn't necessarily had the success at the highest level. And for him to enter the Big 12 and like kind of be like, hey, I'm a really good coach here. I know if I can get talent in the transfer portal, I can build and make a team that works. And I committed to it. Like I've read stories from The Athletic about like him making this team. And he was like, you know what? We're really good at 3-point shooting. Why don't we just do that a whole lot and let's buy into that? And I think like they're doing something because in this league that is so physical and is so hard, like how can you necessarily moneyball your way to be really successful? And I do think BYU did that. Like offensively, they're currently 9th according to KenPom in the entire country. Defensively, like 56, not very good, especially when you see the top of, the Big 12 has some really good defensive teams. Like the top 2 teams in KenPom are in the Big 12 of Houston and Iowa State. So good for BYU. And like, I don't think that necessarily diminishes the rest of the league. I just think it's like, wow, we didn't realize how good of a product we had with BYU here.
Yeah, we've been knowing that Kansas is good at the basketball thing, right? Like that's always been a thing. And BYU went to Allen Fieldhouse and beat them. It's like that's not just BYU. Like, oh, they got lucky their first year in the Big 12. No, Kansas is good on the national scale. Everyone knows this. Kansas is good. You can't overrate Kansas. BYU beat them in Allen Fieldhouse. It's not a fluky thing, and it doesn't mean the Big 12 is bad. It doesn't mean Kansas is bad. It doesn't mean, these are power programs that are losing to the upstart Cougs. Brother, they were like, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little 1-2 bunch of three-pointers. Then in the middle of the season, they'll say we can't play defense. And then once we're confident, we'll start playing defense. Mark Pope, genius. Robbie, if there was a Cougar right in front of you right now, what would you do?
Probably die. I think a Cougar would definitely, I would try to befriend the Cougar just because, if I can do that, that increases my chances of survival. If I was facing a BYU Cougar, I may be able to get past its defense. If I was facing a Houston Cougar, I think I might be screwed because defensively, every attack that I would have would just be negated by them and they would just kind of put me into submission. That was a segue to me saying I think Houston's going to win the national championship. I think they're an incredible basketball team. And we haven't necessarily, seen a team emerge in college basketball. That's the team. But yeah, I think a Cougar would definitely kill me. So I would have to befriend it or just become one of them. Be like, accept me into your tribe.
Yeah, if Houston stays healthy, which, if they, yeah, you need 5 guys. You just need 5 guys in March. Win me 2 games in a weekend. Win me 2 games. The starters can play 40 minutes. That's fine. That's fine. Just win me 2 games. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Mythical for sure.
If you were to Big 12 tournament next week, I saw that they made food and they did food for it. Does that interest you?
I missed the Wabash hot dog thing. There was an undercooked boiled hot dog that it looked like rotten caviar on top of it. I don't know why they did away with that. And then the funniest thing is they're like, you know what? Screw it. Just give Kansas State a peanut butter and jelly. That's literally their food this year is like the Wildcat PB&J. What?
That's really smart on that staff because they're like, all right, what's the thing that would give the people the least amount of food poisoning? All right, here, because I remember that hot dog. Oh my God. That is, you're in the start of the second half. You're not even watching the game. You're just sitting on that toilet, just absolutely, oh my God, evacuating the dance floor. Really
letting it come back out. I hope more than anything that Oklahoma State wins the Big 12 tournament or West Virginia. I am hoping that everyone decides to fall on their own sword and let the kids have it. They deserve it.
How do you feel about Big 12 basketball as a whole this year? Just in terms of, I don't think there's necessarily a star power to the league. There isn't Hunter Dickinson and there isn't Kevin McCullough, but Kevin McCullough's been hurt and Hunter Dickinson has just kind of been a flopper crybaby who has good stats, but his team has been kind of floundering lately. How have you viewed this league in terms of, star power, their impact on college basketball this year? Because I think some really good teams are here, but I don't know if we necessarily have oh my God, that guy.
Yeah. What's interesting is the Big 12 doesn't have the most elite teams in the country, but it has the most great teams. So look 1 through 10, most your analytics sites probably only give you 1, maybe 2 Big 12 teams. They're really valuing an Alabama or a Purdue or a UConn, and Houston's the only one from the Big 12 getting a lot of love. But then you go from 10 to 25 and it's oh, here's the entire Big 12. It's just all Big 12 teams. So I still... It feels like the most balanced conference maybe in history. I don't know if anybody's ever had 9 teams that were this good, legitimate contenders. And to me, it stretches to 11 because Cincinnati any given night or Kansas State any given night could be even much better than Texas and Oklahoma. So yeah, I feel like if I had to give Big 12, I'd give it good.
Yeah, and that's where I don't know if it's going to make up the margins for everything we talked about earlier. But hey, I'm the host. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. I'm Robbie. So yeah, that's where I think
that's good that you said that. I feel like a hi, I'm Robbie would kind of be a good name for you.
That would be a good name. Maybe I could start a YouTube channel. Oh wait, I did. Oh man,
great segue, Robbie. Where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, go to. I almost said Locked On Robbie. That's the other podcast on. Yeah, go to Locked On Robbie. Go to the YouTube channel. Hi, I'm Robbie. I have a video dropping soon about Patrick Mahomes and Texas Tech. that is intriguing as well. And also another thing I can't announce, but just like follow me on Twitter and I'll announce it and it'll be cool. And I hope you enjoy that. But yeah, Drake, I always love coming on here and I'll tell you about it right after we hang up.
I always love you more. Okay, bye. All right, that was Robbie Triano. Thanks for everybody that watched the show today or listened to the show, and come back tomorrow for more sports. This has been and always will be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.